There are plenty of funders out there who I am sure are concerned about journalism today and would be willing to spend their own money, not even corporate money, but their own money in developing a quality news operation for viewers in the United States and the rest of the world. I could think of several individuals who I won't name here who would be probably more than happy to front the startup costs of something like that.
Chuck Lustig, welcome to TV News, Insights and Ideas. You have had 28 years at ABC News, and for 20 of those, you were director of foreign news coverage. And
Yep.
all of us who've been overseas know you quite well, know the voice quite well in the middle of the night, but it's lovely to talk to you under these circumstances. And just for the record, you are currently, now in 2017, Deputy Executive Director of Operations for Human Rights Watch. If you had to write a headline now for what TV news is today, what would that be?
Good question, Mike. I think my headline would be not what it used to be.
All right. Some people would say that should be expected because it would be impossible to be what it used to be.
Yes. Here's my thought. My thought is that viewers are no longer informed about world events. They are informed about what broadcasters think they ought to be informed about. I feel like when I worked at ABC News, we covered the world. We gave viewers what we thought the day's events were, and a little, at the end of the broadcast, a little view in a place that had never been. And I found that to be what we should be doing. And today, I just don't see that in broadcast news.
Well, you've described what you don't think it is. What do you think it is?
I think it is people scouring social media throughout the day, and then at the end of the day deciding what was the most viewed story on social media, and bringing to the viewer what they've been looking at all day on social media.
So riding the coattails of trending.
Yes.
And do you think that it would be possible, and under what circumstances would it be, if you think so, for TV news to come back to what many of my colleagues are describing as quality TV journalism as opposed to what the public is getting now?
Yeah, I think it could. I think it would take a large investment of money, of resources, of building up an infrastructure that has been almost totally dismantled, and bringing viewers to places they've never been before and telling them what the day's events were in those places, whether it be Tokyo, Moscow, Rome, Sao Paulo. I just feel like viewers are not taken to those places anymore.
You were at the epicenter of ABC News as it began its development in the late 70s and early 80s.
Well, more like later in the 80s and 90s. I started, I was in Washington, D.C. in the early 80s, but I was on the finance end of things, not on the news end of things. So I would say probably around 1989 is when I got involved in international coverage.
But you were in a position to see and watch what it took to put that organization together.
Right.
Both when you were in Washington and when you were in New York.
Right.
What lessons could you pass on for anyone interested in trying that again to turn back the tide, as it were?
Yeah.
And I don't
Lesson.
mean copy the past.
No, no, no. I understand what you're saying. I mean, the most important thing is developing a infrastructure globally, which would mean hiring the best fixers, finding the people in these locations who were the best journalists, and then developing an infrastructure around them. I think that's what we did really well at ABC News. We had this vast network of really smart local staffers who were able to tell our journalists who either traveled in or lived in that location what the most important stories were, who the most important people were to talk to when stories broke. And that's what you would have to do again. You would have to develop that infrastructure in every location you set up around the globe.
Well, the incentive for
And it would be cost intensive and it would be time intensive, but that's what I think brings quality journalism.
well, many of my colleagues are saying that at that time when that happened, ABC didn't have much of a choice. It was in the bottom of the ratings.
Right.
It was looking for a new leadership, founded in Roone Arledge, had a vision, and had a company that was willing to back him. Others are saying in today's environment that is virtually impossible to do because of the competitive nature, the whole shifting of goalposts in the way news has to be told now in a very competitive environment with cable and internet. Do you foresee any circumstances under which someone with vision could come in and get that kind of support from a corporation and bring a new kind of quality journalism to television news?
Absolutely, yes. There are plenty of funders out there who I am sure are concerned about journalism today and would be willing to spend their own money, not even corporate money, but their own money in developing a quality news operation for viewers in the United States and the rest of the world. Absolutely, I'm convinced of it.
Really, I mean, can you spin that out a bit? I mean, you're
Sure.
talking about direct investors as opposed to ownership by a large company like Disney or
Yeah,
Comcast or whomever.
yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think, the quality journalism today would take a lot less resources, I would guess, because of you no longer have the need of sending many people with heavy equipment. The infrastructure costs would be less. So I think, it is possible, and I think there are individuals who are willing to do that. Take Human Rights Watch, for example. I'm not here to sell Human Rights Watch, but in the 6 years that I've been here, we've doubled in size. We've opened up offices. I probably opened up myself, in the time I've been here, 15 offices around the globe, and we've hired staff, and that's almost all private money. It's not. We don't take any corporate money. We don't take any. Government money. It's all private individuals who deeply care about human rights around the world and are willing to invest their money in finding out the truth in many places around the world. So I do think it is possible.
Well, let's take that model and talk about it for a few moments. It's a fascinating idea. Taking TV news. Now, are you talking about at the network level? I mean, you can't just suddenly create a new network. Or are you talking about just an organization that might disseminate its product, its news, its content via the internet, which would be something slightly different?
Right.
Maybe not that different, given the fact that a lot of people think that TV per se is not going to exist forever, that it'll just be, whatever we see in our bathroom mirror or wherever. So
Right.
give me a scenario or think about it.
Yeah.
How would that happen?
Yeah. I haven't thought about the delivery of the content. There's obviously a number of ways content can be delivered today, whether it's on, social media. But I got to believe that networks themselves or broadcast companies themselves are eager for new content and different content. So maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it's, you're selling yourself to a established company, as well as delivering it yourself through your own means.
Well, what would you say to a company or to outside investors or to both would be to their advantage to invest in a new venture with traditional journalistic values that's probably going to lose money, at least in the short to medium term?
Right. The opportunity to deliver real news rather than fake news to the widest possible audience today. People invest in human rights research not because it makes money, but because it brings to the forefront human rights abuses around the world and the ability to advocate for change. And I think that's something that could be sold in the broadcast in the world of journalism as well.
So that would be appealing to people who wanted traditional journalistic values, or at least objectivity and more in depth
Yeah,
on offer, and you think there would be a receptive investment opportunity.
I absolutely do, and I could think of several individuals who I won't name here who would be probably more than happy to front the startup costs of something like that.
Well, you may be sitting on a bombshell.
I don't know, but I really think, today in the world there is a desperate search for truth. And I think there are investors out there who would be willing to invest in that search.
Chuck Lustig, longtime ABC executive and good friend, thank you for your contribution to TV news, insights, and ideas.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
The issues are profound and urgent, solutions critical to a free society. If you believe that you can contribute insights and ideas for the future of video news, we'd like to hear from you. You might have the next big vision. Book your Skype interview by emailing me, MikeLeeNews@mac.com. MikeLeeNews@mac.com. TV News, Insights, and Ideas is a not-for-profit project by Mike Lee. It is not limited to any one news organization. Newsmakers are also invited to submit insights and ideas. Bring your game.